Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a book recap. So this is going to be every single thing or every book that I read, not every single thing, every book that I read in the month of September. I'm so excited because I read 12 books in the month of September, which is quite a lot for me. And I know the main reason why, it's because I got a Kindle, which I'm very excited about. So I'm going to get into every single thing that I read. I'm gonna list them in order of the order that I read them. So the first book I read this month was actually a book that I listened to on Audible. I listened to The Inmate by Freeda Mcfaden. I'm not gonna be saying any spoilers in this video as usual. I don't normally give you guys spoilers, but this book is a thriller and I really enjoyed it. I love Freeda Mcfaden. I think I'm gonna read a couple more thrillers, especially because now it's October. I need some like spooky books, but I give it a 4-star rating because a lot of people are always confused by my ratings because I give like certain like super smutty books like 5 stars and then I'll give like Fourth Wing 4 stars. Everyone is like, what are you doing? In my brain, when I'm like rating books, I'm rating them like in categories, if that makes sense, or like I'm comparing them to like other books I've read by that author. So for example, when it comes to Freeda Mcfaden, obviously reading The Inmate, I gave it 4 stars because when I read The Housemaid and the other books by her, I loved them and I gave them 5 stars. Like I felt like right when I read them, they were an automatic 5-star read. For this one, I'm giving it 4 stars just because of the ending. Like, I felt like the ending, like, I did kind of see it coming, but also, like, I don't know, I think I just wanted a different outcome, I think. But at the same time, I was literally on my toes the entire book, so I really enjoyed it. And I also really liked listening to it. This was like the first book that I really listened to in a while and using Audible, and I really liked it. The second book I read was Fourth Wing, which you guys saw. I uploaded a reading vlog of this because everyone was like, please do a reading vlog. So I did. So I'm not going to elaborate too much on what I thought about this book, but obviously I loved it. This was so hyped up, and I do feel like the reason I gave it 4 stars maybe is due to the fact that it was so hyped up and everyone was like, you're never gonna have a better read than this book. Like, this is gonna change your whole life. And so I think I went into it with like very, very high expectations, and it's an amazing read. Like, this is such a good fantasy book. The only reason I gave it 4 stars is because typically when I'm starting any fantasy series, like the first book is never my favorite book of the full series. Like, it's like, you know, we're building like out the world and stuff like that. And so I don't know, I gave it 4 stars, especially because I do feel like the love aspect of this, I wanted more like of a slow burn. And obviously if you've read Fourth Wing, you know it's not necessarily a slow burn, like it's, you know. But the second book of this, when Iron Flame comes out, you guys, I already pre-ordered it. I'm so freaking excited, and like I love a good like groveling book, and we're gonna have some of that in the second book, which is just like going to be everything for me. This is everything you need though. Like, if you guys are not fantasy readers or you guys want to get into fantasy, like please read Fourth Wing. It's so freaking good and I loved it, and I'm so excited, and I just like cannot wait for the second book. It's gonna be so good. The third book I read in September is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved this. I have so many tabs in this for such a short book, and I think it's because there was just so many things that I loved about this book. I gave this 5 stars, which again, this is why I get people confused because they're like, why are you giving this 4 stars and this one 5 stars? This is like in its own section category of like my brain. Like my brain, like I don't know, I don't know, like justify this, okay? Like we can all have our different opinions. Like let's all just like live in peace. Let me have this little 5-star romance book. I loved this, you guys. I thought this was so good. I know that there's a movie, but I'm not gonna watch the movie because I pictured these people really different, and it's just like such a beautiful book. It's about love, but it's also like it's heartbreaking in a way, but it's so beautiful. I just really enjoyed this, and it actually had me like sobbing so much, and every person I've recommended this to has literally messaged me and been like, why'd you recommend this to me? Because I'm crying. But it's not a crying in a like a, oh my god, I wish I wouldn't have read that, I'm traumatized. It's a crying and like, this is so beautiful and like heartbreaking, but also amazing in the best way. I really loved this book. I really did. This is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I do have Daisy Jones and the Six sitting on my shelf. I have never read it. I do think I should because I never watched the series. So maybe I'll do that. The next 2 books I read on my Kindle, which I'm very excited about. So I got my Kindle specifically because I was like, whenever I want to read like really like random, small, spicy books, I think I just want to read them on my Kindle. I don't really need to have them sitting on my shelf for me personally. So that's literally why I got a Kindle. So I don't have to like walk around with like, you know, the books that I'm about to tell you. So the first one that I read. So the fourth book that I read is The Sweetest Oblivion by Danielle Laurie. I read the whole Made series in the month of September. So it's The Sweetest Oblivion, The Maddest Obsession, and The Darkest Temptation. I read all three of those in that order, and I really loved them. I actually gave, let's see, I need to like remember my ratings on Goodreads. Okay, I gave The Sweetest Oblivion 4. Yeah, I gave The Sweetest Oblivion a 4-star rating. I loved this. This is my first mafia romance. Like, I've never read any mafia romance books before, but you know, like, we just love a main character who is like, did you look her way? I'm gonna murder you. Love that. Like, absolutely live for that. Like, that's everything I need. So I don't know what I was doing not reading mafia romances, but like, I loved it. And they're such like short, great reads. I also love when series have like characters all intermixed, kind of like how Twisted Love is. Like, I love how it's like it's a friend group, but then they're all mixed together, and it's just incredible. So I read The Sweetest Oblivion, which I gave 4 stars, and then I read The Maddest Obsession, which I gave 5 stars. Any book where the main character is obsessed with the girl character, like, it's everything to me, and I just loved this. So if you guys liked Christian Harper from the Twisted Love series, you guys will like The Maddest Obsession. His name is also Christian, and he's also obsessed, which is just everything to me. The Darkest Temptation was like a little spooky ooky. I gave it 4 stars because I did really like it, but I will say it's like on the darker side of all 3 of the Made series books, but I still really enjoyed it. Like, I loved it. I just definitely was like, oh, this one's different. You know what I mean? But they're all mafia, and they all include, you know, like a little gore, a little violence, but like in a hot way. Oh my god, okay. The next book I read is One Dark Window. This is by Rachel Gillig. I loved this book. I'm getting the second one in October. I've already pre-ordered it. I cannot wait until it gets to my door. This is a fantasy series, and I really enjoyed this. I gave this 5 stars, and the reason I really enjoyed this is because I went into it having absolutely no expectations, and I also like had no concept of what this book was about. So it is fantasy, but I would say it's like it's a little darker in like a sense that it's kind of like eerie. This is a perfect fantasy fall read, I would say. I like loved this. The main character is a girl, and it's like in this kingdom, but it doesn't really include like anything that, it's not fae. There's no, you know, dragons or anything like that. It's more like magic based, like dark magic and stuff like that, which I think is just so cool. There is a love interest in here. It's not spicy, if that's like, you know, what you're used to. Like, I know with Fourth Wing, it was so good because it's got like everything that you would want. It's got like character building, and it's got like dragons and magic and all that kind of stuff, and it also has really great spice. This doesn't have spice in it, but like I truly loved it, and I was super invested in the plot, and I just can't wait for the second one. There's only going to be 2, so it's a duology, and if you guys want to read this, I think October is a really like good time to read this, or just like any time in the fall, because I don't know, that's just like the vibe it gave me. The next book I read is The Selection. So this is a series. It's called The Selection series. It's by Kira Cass, and I really liked this. I liked the first book enough to keep reading like the rest of the series. I think there's a lot of like novellas in this, but I only read The Selection. The second book is called The Elite, and then the third one is called The One. And after I read the first book, which I gave this 4 stars, I read the second book and I gave it 3 stars. I just did not like the second book. I think the reason I struggle with this is, as you can see, it's really small, and it's young adult, and it's dystopian. So I do normally like dystopian books, but I just felt like there wasn't enough like world building in the first 2 books. I'm super confused about like what the goal is gonna be. Also, if you've read this series, the main character just was like really pissing me off. Like, I think because she is so indecisive, like there's love triangles and there's just like so much going on. I think because she's so indecisive, it like literally was so hard for me to get through the second book, because I thought at the end of the first one she was gonna make up her mind, and she didn't, and then it's just like it's kept spiraling, you know. So I don't know if I'm gonna read the third book. I only read The Selection, and then I read The Elite, and then I was like, I don't know about the third book. I did start it. I was like 20 pages into the third one, and we'll see if I finish. I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I will maybe go back to it whenever I'm feeling like I want to give it another chance, but I got too frustrated with it to give it another chance. So that's my thoughts on this. I feel bad because so many people responded to my story and were like, oh my god, you're gonna love this series. And I didn't love it, but you know what? to each their own. The next book I read is King of Greed. No, oh my god, King of Pride. King of Greed is coming out this month. I also pre-ordered that. But anyway, this is King of Pride. If you guys have read the Twisted Love series, or this is the Kings of Sin series. So it's one of those, you know, series where they have a group of friends and they all kind of like interact in different ways. So all the people from Twisted Love, you know, kind of interact in these books, which I love. I loved this so much. Compared to the first book in the series, which is King of Wrath, I gave this book 4 stars because the first one, King of Wrath, was 5 stars for me. Like, I love Dante. I truly do. I think that the third book, King of Greed, is going to be like the best ever. I'm so excited to read that book, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I really liked the plot of this. It's a spicy read. It's like, you know, millionaires. I don't know if I would say like enemies to lovers. I don't think I would say enemies to lovers. I think it's, what is the trope for this? Like maybe kind of like forbidden love, because like they're not supposed to be dating or seeing each other because of her workplace and stuff like that. So like if you're into that, I really liked it. I thought it was great and I gave it 4 stars. But I will say I'm very excited for King of Greed. Like, I cannot wait. I keep seeing excerpts and it looks so good. So it's gonna be incredible. Okay, next up, I read on my Kindle, I read My Dark Romeo. I was getting recommended this all over TikTok. Like I kept seeing like quotes from it and I was like, what is that? I enjoyed it. It's a little bit of like a dark romance, you know, millionaire. It's also, what is like the marriage trope where it's like, you know, they're like forced to be married and then they like fall in love. You know what I mean? Like what, I don't know what that's called, but like you guys know what I'm talking about. But like that's this, you know, arranged marriage trope. That's what My Dark Romeo is, which I really enjoyed. It's got lots of spice in there for you, but also I just like liked the plot of this. I loved the main girl. Like I just like really liked her personality. I thought she was so fun. So yeah, I liked it. If you're into like a quick spicy read, I give it 5 stars. In my brain, whenever I read like just like straight spicy books, you know, they're easier for me to give 5 stars because I'm like, yes, give me nothing, give me everything. I don't know. I literally don't know. Then I read Things We Left Behind, which was my most anticipated read for the month of for the month of September. This was the book that I was most looking forward to because I had it pre-ordered for so long. It's by Lucy Score. I absolutely love her. I've got so many tabs in here. I honestly, no, this isn't my favorite of the whole series. I still think in order, if you've read the Knockabout series, the first one with Knox is my favorite. This is my second favorite, and then the third favorite is Nash. This book is so good. This one is childhood lovers, childhood friends to lovers to enemies, and it's kind of just like going back throughout their history and like, I don't know, I just loved their growth, and I loved getting so much backstory on these 2 main characters who have been in the other 2 books that are in this series for so long. You know, like it was just so nice to like actually get their full story, and it's just like they're destined to be together and they're just like fighting it, and it's the ending is just so good. Everything about them is just so good. I love Sloane and I love Lucian. If you've never read the Knock 'Em Out series, you absolutely have to. Like, I love romance books. I love when I'm able to have spice in there. I don't always need that, but obviously it's so nice to have that in here. But also, it's not one of those books where it's just like straight spice and there's no like character development or real plot. Like, these books have real plot to them that I really love. So I really liked this book, and it was like definitely one of my favorites from this month. That was actually the last book that I read in September. Those were all my books. I'm so excited about October because I've got so many books that I pre-ordered and that are coming out in the fall that I'm just really excited to read. So let me know some of the recommendations that you have or what's on your to be read for October. Maybe I can add them to my list and like start reading some of them this month and we can talk about them. Let me know if you guys have read any of these books. Which ones were your favorite? What were your thoughts on them? Even if it's different than mine, it's okay. Leave it in the comments. I love talking books with you guys. Oh my god, I love talking books with you guys, and it's just so much fun to be able to recap some of this. So anyway, let me know some books down below. Also, don't forget to follow my TikTok if you guys want to, because I do lots of book recommendations over there. I like to do them like throughout the month. That way I can just like get out book content quicker for you guys. But I hope that you guys liked this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.